Many people did not believe what I said about 5 years ago when I warned the Boca Raton Synagogue by first approaching their leadership, led by a heretic named Efrem Goldberg.
You've obviously seen this disaster that's happening at Boca Raton Synagogue right now, where a very big mistake is being made by the leaders to bring the #1 Catholic missionary in the world. If you just type in his name, Matthew Kelly, you'll immediately find his whole life mission is to make everyone Catholic. Make everyone follow what the Torah says is 100% avodah zarah.
Every single house in the Boca Raton Synagogue neighborhood got a missionary letter with a DVD in it. The very same thing is happening right now. You continue allowing Efrem Goldberg and the rest of his staff to stay on their job. You are supporting idol worship. They're bringing a missionary again. Ribono shel olam. What do you mean they're bringing a missionary again? On January 11th, the Boca Raton Synagogue is hosting what they're calling South Florida Night to celebrate Israel. You can find this on their website, brsonline.org. You have 3 keynote speakers. Surely Efrem Goldberg has to have a stage. It's his place after all. They're going to give some honor to the keynote speaker, the ambassador, David Freeman, which was a former U.S. ambassador to Israel. So far, not necessarily a problem. I wouldn't necessarily highlight a ambassador in my shul, but you want to do it, by all means. We don't have a problem so far. Where do we have a problem? When the other keynote speaker, when the other partner in the whole event is a person that lives in my backyard here. Person by the name of Pastor Mario Bremnick, President, Latino Coalition to Israel. Pastor Mario Bremnick, for all intents and purposes, seems like a very nice guy. He probably is a nice guy. But unfortunately, to him and to us, his beliefs and his life's work is problematic according to our Torah. I'm not saying it in a nice way. Why? Mario Bremnick, he is the president of the Hispanic Israel Leadership Coalition. He was a speaker for the Israeli American Council. He's very politically connected. He does a lot of work to connect himself to the land of Israel. But aside from that, his main gig is that he's a pastor. And Pastor Bremnick has a church. And this church is called New Wine Ministries. And New Wine Ministries does not confuse anybody by making them think that they are your simple Catholic church. Rather, no. They say on their own website, in the welcome page, we are a church with a divine design to advance the kingdom of God in our neighborhood, our county, our nation, and the nation of Israel. We are a church with a passion to evangelize, train, and equip believers to attain their purposes and call of God in their lives. Pastor Bremnick is a missionary, a very ambitious missionary that has his primary focus on the Jewish people, just like their other evangelical Christians have. One of their main core beliefs is to evangelize the Jewish people to believe in Jesus. This is the reason why their promotion, their events, their teachings have become much more similar, or at least in looks, to Judaism than they were in the previous generation. Perhaps one example on Pastor Bremnick's website is that he's about to have a Hanukkah Christmas celebration. Now, if you ask his great-grandfather, did his church celebrate a Hanukkah Christmas celebration? I assure you, the answer would be no. If you look up the Christian books from 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 years ago, and you ask any of the pastors and the priests and the popes and whoever else, did you have a Hanukkah Christmas event? It's like, what do you mean? Like a Hanukkah event to kill Jews? That's what you're calling Hanukkah, like a joke? No, like a Hanukkah, like you're celebrating Hanukkah, but also Christmas, like the unification of the Jews and the Christians. They'll look at you like, what do you mean? Why? Why would there be a unification of the Jews and the Christians? This is a relatively new invention. Now you would think, oh, this is very nice. Unity between the Christians and the Jews should be good. We live in America after all. We live in England. We live in Australia. We live in mostly we live in foreign lands. Shouldn't there be some type of friendship? Sure, friendship, yes. Unity, no. Now, Pastor Bremnick, for his beliefs, he's doing good. In fact, I would love to have Pastor Bremnick on our team. Because if we can find rabbis that believe in the one and only God and the one and only Torah and forsake the New Testament, the Quran, and all of the other teachings, if I could have people as passionate as Pastor Bremnick, I bet you within a few years Mashiach's coming. Why? Because passion like this, dedication like this is very hard to find. But what do we have? We have Efrem Goldberg that brings the spiritual enemies into our own backyards. People that their job is to convert our people to their beliefs. That's who we have on our team, so-called team. Now, Pastor Bremnick is doing good for him, bad for us though. The problem is, Rabotai Karim, is that the idolatrous nations are preaching their false beliefs as if they're true. While many of the rabbis that have the truth are preaching it like it's false because they're either scared to tell the truth or they're simply so confused by money they forgot what the truth even looks like.
So we have a church, I pastor a church in the Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area. And years ago, we would always have a night to honor Israel or, some special event. And maybe 7 years ago, we partnered with the Jewish Federation locally to do a joint Christian-Jewish event combating anti-Semitism. And that was really the start of our journey. I invited then Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon, Robert Stearns, our Congress people. We had pastors, rabbis. Our first event, I think we had about 2,000 people at a university assembly, and it was amazing. And it was from there that we had a major event, and then the next day we had a pastor-rabbi symposium of about 100 pastors and rabbis. We, from there, I felt was birthed several initiatives that then went literally global since then. We started with South Florida because we have a lot of Christians, Hispanics, and Jewish people. And my main thing is just let's bring everybody together and let's work together. And out of that, was birthed our pro-Israel agenda, which now is through Latino Coalition for Israel, as well as a pastor-rabbi Torah studies. So we started meeting on that every month, 1 month in a church, 1 month in a synagogue, really for the most part talking on areas of commonality, on how much we do agree on, instead of differences and so forth, and how we can build and learn from each other's community. and established a great relationship. It was a small group, about 15, still meets to this day. I have delegated the leadership of that. And as you know, we actually did 2 major pastor-rabbi symposiums on theological dialogue, with the last one with 200 people. And we had, different denominations, Christian denominations, but we also had rabbis from Orthodox, conservative, Reform backgrounds together, studying the Torah together, and it was pretty amazing.
And unfortunately, Rabotai, we have a serious problem. Why do we have a serious problem? Because Pastor Bremnick is about to come to Boca Raton Synagogue, give a nice speech, become friends with some people in the community. Says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that one who kills a body here in this world is much less of a sinner than one who causes another Jew to sin, because he is killing both his body and his soul. Even if the murderer was murdering bodies for 210 years, and the one that's murdering a soul is murdering it after a single speech that could take 5 minutes, that person that caused the person to sin after giving him a speech for 5 minutes, or allowing someone to speak heretical thoughts, heretical ideas, idolatrous beliefs, that person is a much greater sinner, and thereby worse than even Pharaoh